Here's the truth they'll never tell you. Women don't respect men who give themselves away too easily. They respect men who make them earn access. Men who aren't afraid to walk away. Men who set the tone and never lower their standards just to keep a woman around. This video isn't about tricks. It's about truth. You're about to learn how high-value men carry themselves around women, the mindset, the behavior, the exact posture that makes them unforgettable. Before we go deep, comment, "No more chasing," if you're done giving your power away and ready to take full control of your life. Number 1. He's not impressed by beauty. Everywhere you go, it's the same pattern. You walk into a room, a bar, a restaurant, maybe even your own social circle, and all it takes is one attractive woman to show up, and suddenly every guy is orbiting. Their posture changes, their tone softens, they try to be funny, agreeable, charming. It's like a switch flips, and in that exact moment, a man's power dissolves. Because what he just showed her is that her looks are more valuable than his dignity, that her beauty outweighs his self-respect. But the high-value man, he doesn't react, not because he's playing games, but because he doesn't need to. He doesn't need her validation, and he doesn't see her as the prize. He sees her as a potential, not a given. You've been there. You match with a girl, she's stunning, and suddenly you're thinking about how to keep her interested before she's even earned the right to be in your life. You're sending emojis, double texting, complimenting her non-stop, and all it does is kill the mystery. You hand her all your power, and then you wonder why she stops replying. It's because she doesn't want a fan. She wants a man who can appreciate beauty but isn't moved by it. And the reason this is so rare is because most men haven't seen enough beauty to stop being hypnotized by it. They've had scraps of attention from pretty girls, and it left them starving. So when a beautiful woman shows them a little warmth, they rush to impress, hoping to secure more. But in doing so, they lose themselves. A high-value man doesn't see a beautiful woman as a reward. He's seen beauty come and go. He's been lied to by beautiful faces. He's been disrespected by pretty girls. He's learned sometimes the most dangerous women wear the most attractive disguises. So now, he doesn't flinch. You want to build this kind of power? It starts by cutting off the validation you give away for free. Stop liking every bikini picture. Stop commenting heart eyes. Stop reacting instantly when she texts. Teach yourself that beauty is common, but peace, kindness, consistency, those are rare. Start filtering women based on their character. Watch how they treat waiters. Watch how they respond to no. Watch how they talk about their exes. Every time you ignore red flags because she's hot, you're telling yourself you don't deserve more than chaos in a pretty package. You have to raise your standards higher than her waist-to-hip ratio. Imagine this. A woman with 100,000 followers gets 100 DMs a day. 99 of those DMs are validation. You're gorgeous. I'd do anything to be with you. Queen, you want to stand out? Don't be number 100. Be the guy who makes her feel seen for her flaws. Be the guy who notices the things she hides, the insecurity in her tone, the ego in her jokes, the wounds she covers with makeup and filters. Speak to her depth, not her surface. And if you don't see depth, walk away. Not every beautiful woman deserves your time, your energy, your spirit. If she's used to men kneeling, show her what it feels like to be around a man who stands, a man who's unimpressed by her looks, because he's more impressed by how she makes him feel after the date. Ask yourself, does she give me peace or chaos? Is she thoughtful or selfish? Does she hold herself accountable or play victim every time? You'll start to notice that the most beautiful women often get away with the worst behavior because no one holds them to a standard. And when you start doing that, when you calmly enforce your boundaries, when you stop chasing, when you stop being amazed by a pair of lips and a filter, she'll feel it deeply. because you're now someone she can't easily manipulate. You're not a toy. You're not a tool. You're a man with vision, purpose, and self-worth. She'll sense the difference before you even speak. It's in your eyes, in your body language, in the way you pause before answering, in how little you need to be liked. And this doesn't just help you with women, it sharpens every part of your life. You stop jumping through hoops for clients who don't respect you. You stop tolerating friends who drain you. You stop allowing anyone, male or female, to think that your time isn't valuable. You become someone who's chosen, not someone who begs to be chosen. And here's what happens next. Women start to respect you. Even the ones who call you too confident. Even the ones who get offended when you don't validate them. Because deep down, they admire men who don't fall for illusions. They admire men who can stay calm in front of beauty. Because if a man can control himself in front of what every other man worships, that man can be trusted with power. That man can be trusted with truth. You have to stop treating beautiful women like they're your saviors. Like if you just get this one, you'll finally feel complete. You won't. Because no woman, no matter how attractive, can fix the emptiness you feel from abandoning yourself. From lowering your standards just to be chosen. You're not here to worship beauty. You're here to build something so powerful within yourself that no amount of validation compares to the pride you feel when you walk away from what doesn't serve you. Start today. The next time you're around a woman who makes your heart race, pause, observe, breathe. Remember, you don't know her. Her beauty is just a trailer. You haven't seen the movie. And if the story is toxic, no amount of stunning visuals can save it. Be the man who walks out of the theater when the plot turns ugly, no matter how good the lighting is. That's power. That's self-respect. That's how high-value men act around women. And if you've ever wondered how to build that kind of unshakable inner strength, the kind that doesn't flinch when beauty walks in, the kind that commands respect without ever raising your voice, then the Stoic relationship blueprint was made for you. It's not just a book. It's your personal manual for becoming the man you were meant to be, grounded, disciplined, powerful. You'll learn how to respond when she pulls away, how to protect your peace without guilt, how to stop chasing and start choosing. And the best part, once you own it, it's yours forever. No subscription. Just timeless knowledge you can return to whenever life tests you. Check the pinned comment. Download it now. Protect your mind. Reclaim your power. Number 2. He's hard to access emotionally. Most men give themselves away too quickly. Not their money, not even their time, but their hearts, their emotions, their internal world. And the truth is, the moment you allow a woman full access to that world, before she's earned the right to be there, you forfeit the very power that makes her respect you. You feel it all the time. You meet someone new, and instead of observing, instead of evaluating who she is, you start spilling everything. Your traumas, your insecurities, your past. You mistake emotional connection for emotional surrender. You believe that being open means being vulnerable, when in reality, it often just means being emotionally reckless. High-value men never move like that. Not because they lack emotion, not because they're empty inside, but because they know the cost of emotional overexposure. They've learned, often through painful experiences, that the more a woman knows about your internal chaos before she's invested in you, the faster she uses it against you or disconnects entirely. A man who is hard to access emotionally is not cold. He is calibrated. He does not share everything because everything isn't meant to be shared with everyone. His story, his battles, his scars, those are sacred. And until he knows a woman is safe, grounded, and capable of holding that space, he holds his truth close to his chest. And she feels that. She senses that mystery, that depth. And because it isn't handed to her on a silver platter, she values it more. You want to become this kind of man. You have to stop seeing conversation as a dumping ground. Your date is not your therapist. That girl from the app is not your emotional sponge. You have to ask yourself every time you speak, is what I'm sharing rooted in clarity or in a cry for closeness? Because most men don't speak to connect. They speak to escape loneliness. They think if they reveal enough, she'll feel sorry for them. She'll stay. She'll help. But what actually happens is she sees weakness without strength, openness without purpose, vulnerability without self-control, and that doesn't build attraction, it kills it. High-value men practice restraint, not because they're scared to be seen, but because they know not everyone deserves to see them fully. They reveal in layers. They let trust build over time. They answer questions without turning the interaction into a therapy session. And what does that do? It creates curiosity. It creates gravity. It makes a woman lean in. She starts to wonder what's behind that strength, what's beneath that calm, what's under that confidence. And in her wondering, attraction grows. But more than that, it protects him. Because if the connection ends, he hasn't just handed over his soul to a stranger. He hasn't bled emotionally for someone who wasn't ready to hold his story. You want to flip the game? Start building emotional discipline. Every time you feel the urge to share something personal, ask yourself, what does this serve? Is this for bonding or begging? Is this a lesson or a leak? Practice silence. Practice withholding. Practice pausing before you share. Journal what you're tempted to say out loud. Reflect privately before revealing publicly. Because the man who controls his emotions is not emotionless. He is powerful. He feels deeply, but he doesn't let those feelings define his decisions. He expresses when it serves a purpose, not when it seeks permission. And that kind of emotional control, it's magnetic, it's rare, and it's respected. Women admire it, even when they act like they hate it. They test for it. They try to break it. They poke, they prod, they provoke, just to see if they can get a rise, get a confession, get you to open up before it's earned. And if you do, they often pull away. Why? Because they wanted to see if you'd stand your ground, if you'd keep your frame, if you'd show that your emotions belong to you, not to whoever's asking for them. You want to build a life of peace. Guard your emotional energy like your survival depends on it. Not with walls, but with wisdom. Let your words be intentional. Let your stories be sacred. Let your truth be earned. And you'll become the kind of man who is known, respected, and desired. Not for how quickly he opens up, but for how deeply he makes others earn the right to know him. Number 3. He chooses. He doesn't chase. Every day, men are chasing what doesn't want to be caught, running after women who barely respond, stretching themselves thin, trying to impress women who see them as nothing but an option. You've lived this. She cancels the first date, and you make excuses for her. She ghosts you for 3 days, and you still double text. You plan an entire evening, and she shows up late, distracted, glued to her phone, and you still pay, still smile, still try to win her over. And in doing all that, you tell her without saying a word, you are above me. You teach her, subconsciously, that she is the prize, and you are the beggar. That your value is determined by whether or not she likes you. High-value men never move this way. They don't chase because they don't need to. They evaluate, they observe, they let women show effort. Not because they're arrogant, but because they know their energy is limited, and they refuse to pour it into a one-way connection. They don't run after someone who's walking away. They don't fight for someone who doesn't show up. They don't compete for attention that's given to everyone. You want to make this shift? You have to stop making excuses for bad behavior. You have to stop interpreting disinterest as shyness. You have to stop rewarding mediocrity with more effort. The chase ends the moment you recognize that your time, your energy, your presence, those are gifts. Not just to any woman, but to the right woman. A woman who sees you, who values the way you carry yourself, who shows up, who puts in effort, who invests back. That's who you give your best to. Not the one who posts thirst traps for validation and calls it confidence. Not the one who disappears and returns only when it's convenient. Not the one who expects king treatment without queen behavior. Start screening. Start pulling back when effort isn't mutual. Start saying no to last-minute invites. Start walking away when the energy shifts. And most importantly, start watching how you feel around her. Do you feel anxious or at peace? Do you feel empowered or depleted? Do you feel chosen or tolerated? Because your body knows. And the longer you ignore it, the deeper you fall into the trap. The truth is, the more you chase, the more she runs. Not because she's evil, but because she senses the imbalance, the desperation, the energy of a man who has placed his worth in her hands. And no woman respects that energy. She might use it, she might enjoy it, but she doesn't admire it. And if she doesn't admire you, she can't desire you. You want to turn this around. Become the chooser. Let women qualify for your presence. Let them show you who they are before you offer your loyalty. Let them ask questions. Let them follow up. Let them initiate. Not because you're playing games, but because you're done being played. And you'll see it instantly. The women who are used to being chased will feel confused. They'll test harder. They'll pull back just to see if you chase. But when you don't, when you stay still, when you stay focused, when you stay grounded, you flip the dynamic. You become the rare one. You become the man who makes her think, why isn't he chasing me like the others? And that thought alone ignites interest. It sparks attraction, but more than that, it restores your power. Because you're no longer at the mercy of someone else's attention span. You're no longer fighting for crumbs. You're standing in your worth. Choosing, evaluating, leading. That's the posture of a man who's done being the option and has become the standard. So stop chasing, start observing, start acting like the man she hopes to be chosen by, not the one she strings along while she explores her options. And you'll feel it, the peace, the clarity, the respect, not just from women, but from yourself. Because deep down you always knew, the one who chases rarely wins, but the one who chooses never loses. Number 4, he enforces standards without fear. Most men walk through life tolerating things they hate. They tolerate disrespect. They tolerate flakiness. They tolerate manipulation, lies, gaslighting, disrespectful tone, emotional roller coasters, backhanded compliments, passive aggression, and then they wonder why nothing in their life feels stable, why they feel drained, why they feel small, why the women in their life talk down to them, walk over them, leave them on read, cheat on them, and replace them without flinching. It's because the moment a man stops enforcing his standards, he becomes disposable. He becomes predictable, weak, soft, malleable, bendable, replaceable. Women don't fall for the man who bends over backwards. They fall for the man who knows where the line is drawn and doesn't apologize for drawing it. The problem is, most men are terrified of being alone. They'd rather tolerate disrespect than walk away and risk being without a woman. They stay silent when a woman talks down to them. They laugh off sarcasm laced with contempt. They accept broken communication, emotional chaos, dramatic arguments, and delayed responses because deep down, they've convinced themselves that this is the price of having her. And in doing so, they destroy their own identity. They erode their self-respect. They train her and the world that their boundaries are suggestions, not laws. High-value men don't do this. They don't beg. They don't tolerate. They don't negotiate with disrespect. They walk, without yelling, without drama, without games. A high-value man sets his standards early and upholds them consistently, not to control others, but to protect himself. His peace is not for sale. His energy is not up for grabs. His time is not handed to those who devalue it. You ever been on a date and she shows up late without explanation and you let it go? You ever been in a relationship where she raises her voice at you and you try to calm her down instead of setting a line? You ever been gaslit, manipulated, blamed for things you didn't do, and still stayed? That's not compassion. That's self-betrayal. Every time you let it slide, you become smaller, and she knows it. She feels it. And the more you let it slide, the more she pushes. Because she's testing for your backbone. She's testing for your strength. She's testing to see if you're a man she can respect, or a man she can mold. And when she realizes she can mold you, she stops seeing you as a man and starts seeing you as a placeholder. You want to change this? It starts by deciding what is and isn't allowed in your life. Write it down. What do you value in a relationship? Respect, loyalty, directness, peace. Then write down what violates those values. Flakiness, passive aggression, disrespectful language, inconsistency. And commit right now that the next time those things show up, you act, not by yelling, not by arguing, but by enforcing. That means you leave the conversation. That means you don't follow up. That means you don't explain your worth. You demonstrate it by absence. And this doesn't just apply to women. It applies to friends, family, clients, co-workers. Your life reflects what you tolerate. And when you tolerate low behavior, you create a low-frequency life. High-value men live at a different frequency. They don't seek approval, they seek alignment. They don't chase peace, they protect it. And because of that, they attract people who respect them, admire them, and rise to meet them. It's not about being perfect. It's about being precise. A woman might be beautiful, charming, seductive, but if she violates your standard, she's out. Not because you hate her, but because you love yourself. You don't train people how to treat you by what you say. You train them by what you accept. And when you accept less than what you deserve, you lose credibility. Not just with her, but with yourself. You know it's true. That gut feeling you get when you let things slide. It's your inner man screaming, "We're betraying ourselves again." And every time you ignore it, that voice gets quieter. Until one day you wake up and you don't recognize the man in the mirror. That ends today. From now on, your standard is the law. If a woman brings chaos, you don't fix her. You release her. If she crosses your line, you don't educate her. You exit. If she treats you like an option, you make her realize you were the opportunity she just lost. And the beauty of this is, once you start enforcing, you no longer fear loss. You no longer tolerate bare minimum. You stop begging for basic decency. And that shift, that unshakable energy, it radiates. It makes people step differently around you. It makes women think twice before testing you. It makes the world treat you like someone who commands respect, not someone who chases it. But it starts with you. No one's coming to enforce your standards for you. No one's coming to protect you from toxic energy. That's your job. And when you do it, you transform. You become magnetic. Not because you're trying, but because you're solid. And in a world full of men who bend, break, and beg, a man who stands is irresistible. So draw your lines, enforce them, walk away when they're crossed, and never apologize for valuing yourself, because the moment you do, you give people permission to devalue you. Let this be the day you stop tolerating what drains you. Let this be the day you choose yourself, not with words, but with action. And let every step you take from here on be a reminder to the world. Your standard is the gate to your kingdom, and only those who respect it get in. Number 5. He's not afraid to be the villain. The most dangerous belief a man can hold is that being liked is more important than being respected, that he has to play it safe, stay agreeable, smile on cue, and never say anything that might disturb the peace, even when that peace is fake, even when the truth is buried just beneath the surface, screaming to be acknowledged. This belief is what turns strong men into silent shells, walking on eggshells around women who test their patience, mock their boundaries, and slowly strip away everything that made them powerful in the first place. You feel it in your life. You've stayed silent when she disrespected you in public. You've apologized for things that weren't your fault, just to avoid an argument. You've agreed to things you didn't want, bit your tongue when she criticized you, shrunk yourself just to keep her smiling. You became the nice guy, the sweet guy, the understanding guy. And in doing so, you became the man she stopped desiring. The truth is brutal but clear. Women don't fantasize about the man who bends. They crave the man who stands, even if it means being misunderstood, even if it means being labeled the villain. The high-value man embraces this role, not because he seeks conflict, but because he refuses to compromise his integrity. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't seek universal approval. He doesn't need to be liked to feel complete. He's okay being the one she talks about to her friends because he enforced a boundary she didn't like. He's okay being the one who walked away because she crossed a line. He's okay being seen as too harsh or too blunt because his life isn't built around walking on emotional glass. It's built around truth. And that truth is this: if you're always playing the hero in her story, you're probably playing the fool in your own. High-value men get comfortable with being the villain, because the villain, in a world built on weakness, is often the only one strong enough to tell the truth. He says no when it's not popular. He walks away when she thinks he'll stay. He stands tall when she throws tests, tantrums, ultimatums. And the paradox is, the more he embraces being misunderstood, the more she respects him, not immediately, but eventually. Because deep down, every woman knows the man who won't bend for her is the man she can't control. And that's the man she'll never forget. You want to build this kind of energy? You have to stop fearing judgment. Stop fearing her emotions. Stop fearing the label of toxic, cold, or emotionally unavailable. The labels don't matter. What matters is your spine, your clarity, your conviction. Have you ever said something true and watched her explode, cry, threaten to leave, and you backtracked, thinking you were being too harsh? That's how she knew she had you. That's how she learned your boundaries were soft. But when you say it, and you stand by it, calmly, directly, without apology, even if she screams, even if she storms out, you win, because you stayed solid. And whether she comes back or not, your frame is intact. Your power is preserved. This doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean being arrogant. It means being unshakable, being willing to lose her if it means keeping yourself. It means trusting that your value doesn't lie in her reaction. It lies in your consistency, your self-respect, your refusal to play the puppet just to keep her comfortable. And here's the part most men miss. Being the villain doesn't make you evil. It makes you free. Free to speak your truth, free to walk your path, free to lead instead of follow, free to say, this doesn't work for me, and mean it. You want to know why most relationships drain men? It's because they're built on emotional negotiation instead of personal principles. You're constantly adapting, adjusting, compromising, and at first it feels like love. But over time it feels like suffocation, because you're no longer you. You're just who she needs you to be to avoid a breakdown. The high-value man refuses this. He'd rather be alone in peace than partnered in pressure. He'd rather be called selfish than live as a slave to someone else's expectations. And that's exactly why he gets chosen, not just by women, but by life. He gets opportunities. He gets respect. He gets peace. because he never sacrifices who he is to gain something temporary. You want to live this way? Start today. The next time you feel that urge to say what's true, but you hesitate because she might react, say it anyway. Not with rage, not with resentment, with calm, with clarity, with presence, and then let the chips fall. If she walks, let her. If she cries, let her. If she calls you names, let her. Because your truth isn't up for debate. And the more you enforce that truth, the more you build a life that actually reflects who you are, not who you've pretended to be to keep someone else from leaving. Being the villain means being at peace with disapproval. It means being okay with her not understanding, because you understand, and that's enough. You live by a code, and that code doesn't bend for moods, for games, for manipulation. It stays steady. And in a world that rewards conformity, that steadiness is magnetic. It draws in the women who are truly ready to be led, to be inspired, to rise, and it repels the ones who were only looking for a man to fix or control. You want to be remembered, not as the guy who was always there, always agreeable, always pleasing, but as the man who stood tall, spoke straight, and never folded. Embrace being the villain. Embrace being the line in the sand, and you'll become the one she couldn't change, and the one she'll never forget. Because deep down, every woman dreams of the man she can't break. And every man is born to be that dream, if he's only willing to let go of the need to be liked, and choose instead the power of being respected. If you're tired of watching women chase men who treat them like an option, while you break your back just to be noticed, then it's time to wake up. No more begging, no more overgiving, no more living like your worth depends on a woman's mood. The Stoic relationship blueprint is the truth no one gave you, the step-by-step guide to becoming the man who leads, who walks away without flinching, who is respected, desired, and never ignored again. This isn't a trick, it's a transformation. It's linked in the comments, and once you have it, it's yours for life. If you're ready to walk away from weakness and step into clarity, comment, "My peace is power," like this video, and subscribe to help more men escape years of silent suffering.